All right, beauties, we have 2 minutes before we get fully started. So just with Yin, as you already all know, make sure you've got all your things. So you need a block, you'll need a strap, maybe a heater if you're practicing in the cold, extra layers because your body temperature will drop, and a bolster if you've got one as well. I've got a couple of minutes before we get started. I'm not sure where we're going to go tonight. Maybe a bit of an all-rounder. See what happens. Okay. So let's get started. You can either sit up on a block, kneeling, or cross your legs. If you need to lie down tonight, you can also do that. So actually just put your body in this moment, just put it where it needs to go. So some of us, we might need to lay face down. Some of us might need to lay face up. You might want to sit. That's where I'm at today. And then close your eyes. Just get that sense of allowing yourself to land in the space that you're in. So wherever you're practicing from, that is now your container for the next hour or however long we're here. So just letting your mind do its thing, no need to control anything right now. But you can notice the activities, whether it's busy or still. And notice your breath. Is that shallow? Is it deep? And just now you're here, you're a little bit more present in the space. Notice where your body is feeling it needs attention. So there'll be an area that just feels a little less happy tonight. And so tonight's practice will be around just giving that area what it actually needs. So whether that's more breath, more time, more space, more attention. And then blink your eyes open and close. Let's do that a few times. Eyes open and then close. Until eventually your eyes are fully open. We're actually going to begin in toe squat tonight, my friends. I'm going to take my socks off so you can actually see my feet. So if you know this beautiful pose, you are welcome to head straight in and get an extra few breaths in whilst I do the whole spiel. If you're new to this, I will give you a few different variations that you might want to consider, because it's a pretty spicy pose. So your toes are tucked under, your knees can be together or apart. It doesn't matter at all, and likewise with your feet, they don't need to be really close together. And then you're simply resting the weight of your hips onto your heels, so you can sit upright like so with your hands resting on your lap. That will get pretty interesting pretty quickly if you're like me. So that might be a bit too much. You can come to somewhere in between, resting your arms on a block. And again, just allowing your feet to open. And then if that's still a bit too intense for you, you can even do this in a child's pose. So over the next breath or two, just kind of come to that place where you know that you're able to let go. So you want to start to feel that the soles of the feet begin to open up. And you don't want to be in that place where it's just so intense that you can't breathe, you're gripping, it's really stressful. Because we're kind of doing the opposite to what we want our body to kind of feel. And so we talk all the time in Yin about the Goldilocks position, so it's not too hot, not too cold. So not too easy, not too challenging, somewhere just manageable. And then we're constantly moving towards that edge as our body releases tension. There's this sense of moving in deeper, so we're snuggling up to the next layer of tension there. This process of allowing our body to unwind. This is last 5 breaths. So again, there's not really anything that needs to be done necessarily. But just that feeling into if you're still at your edge. So you've not gone beyond too deep and it's not too easy. There's this place where there's just enough feeling. Starting to move your weight forwards. So we're going to make our way out slowly. Oh, you'll feel about 150 years old if you're like me. And then either come in fully onto your belly, or you can just come into a child's pose, or even just sitting back onto your heels. So just somewhere where you can let your body uptake the change, the shift. All right, my loves, then easing on up to either kneeling or sitting, whatever works. And we're coming into Asana or melting heart pose. So as always, if you know these shapes, you can just head straight in. Otherwise, taking your knees so they're like hip width apart. I usually start from the back of the mat here. I'm going to give you guys a number of different options also, so you can choose what works for you. So you want to keep your hips above your knees. You can either have your forehead on the floor, or you can tuck your chin so that you're gazing forwards. Some of you might want to work actually with a variation that I've been doing at the moment, which is elbows forward, palms together, and you're kind of opening like the side, like around your armpits, and some other pretty funky muscles there too. So that's another option. And then also, if you're lucky enough to have a bolster with you while you're practicing, you can come into another version where you've got your forearms on the bolster. So they all kind of get into different areas, and obviously there's no right or wrong area, it's just what works for you. You do what's working for you, but the whole point of having options is if you're working with any type of tweaks or niggles or injuries, then you have a few different things to choose from. And you know, I know a lot of you know this already, but just that sense of feeling the difference between, I don't really want to use the words good and bad pain, but like, obviously in Yin there's a lot of different sensations happening, and it sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming. So as a general guideline, I would say anything that is that feels like nerve referring or electrical, quite sharp by nature, I would avoid. And then anything else that feels like a dull or a deep tension releasing, it's not necessarily enjoyable, but you kind of know that it's doing your body good. And this is how we start to learn the language of our own body. So it's by kind of trial and error and figuring out what's feeling like a good release for us on any given day. And actually learning to trust ourselves when we make those choices. And then once you've found your spot, allowing yourself to be in stillness. So coming up to those last sort of 6 or 7 breaths, might be that you need something different to go to the next edge in your body. Or maybe you've gone beyond the edge and you need to come back a little. Kind of just feeling there, just noticing. Alright, beauties. So again, take plenty of time. There's no hurry. But eventually, you're going to bring in your arms by your side, letting the earth hold the whole weight of your body. I always feel in my own body there's so much more space to breathe, particularly through the back of my heart here. It's like it moves a whole heap of stuckness. Alright, my loves, coming on up. So take your time to feel your way up to sitting or kneeling. So we're going to move into either supported bridge or saddle. And I will demonstrate both of those. And then obviously if you know them, you can just head straight in. I'm going to do supported bridge first because it's a little bit, actually no, I'll do saddle first. Let's start with saddle. So saddle, knees are bent. You can sit in between your heels. You can sit on your heels. You can sit on a block or 10 if you need them. And then a lot of people will often start with a bolster or something similar to this to start off. So reclining back like so. You might not even get this far, depends on what else you do in your life. So all you footy players, there is probably very little chance of that. And then those of you guys that are a bit more flexy, you can come all the way down, maybe taking your arms over your head. I'm going to be here for probably a little while actually, so settle in. It might take the whole time to get in there, and again you can just go slow at your own pace. And then the other version is, or the other option is supported bridge. So you've got a block or the bolster on your sacrum. You can come right up on the higher height. Maybe take your legs forward, arms go over your head, or not, they can be by your side. And that sense of getting open through the front of your body. So, my loves, choose your own adventure. kind of like choosing, you know, just choosing what you're kind of bypassing your brain that will rationalize everything, which is useful sometimes, but not tonight. And kind of just trust the instincts of your body, like where do you feel you need to open more? I find like saddle's a lot more quad, kind of thigh related, whereas bridge is a lot more front line of the body. So just going to feel into what your body needs to feel tonight. And just that remembering that we can't get this wrong because it's our body and it's our practice. So we're past halfway. Just that option to notice, particularly if you're in a space where you can adapt the prop or you're using a prop at all. So there may be an option to move in a little bit deeper. Maybe also there's a choice to come out. So you're in a place where you can stay for the next few minutes. So just working on that comfortable edge. beauties. So we have been here a little while. Just be mindful of that. So you might want to just bend your knees a little and have a moment or two there. And then eventually coming off your block or bolster, whatever you're using. You can keep your knees bent, particularly if you're coming out of saddle. You might want to do that for a minute. Otherwise, starting to straighten your legs. Alright, beauties. Just take the transition to one side, don't rush. Just take your time. And just coming on up to seated. So we're actually going to move into sleeping swan. So if you're aware of what that is, then again just go. It's also known as pigeon in the yang practices. So you might recognise that. So we'll start with the left knee bent. You can have a block underneath your left butt cheek. If you feel as though like you're really over and you need a bit of support. The other thing you can do actually is if you're working with knee things going on, you can bend your back knee and just come into something that looks like this. Otherwise, if you've got your back leg straight, you can either just come into a forward fold, obviously using props if you need that too. Sometimes I like to work towards my front foot, so I feel for me that gets underneath the superficial layer of my butt muscles. Just allows for me to open into a little bit more tension. Now there's also, so if you're in there, just do your thing. There's also the option to modify this a little by coming onto your back with your knees bent and then cross your left ankle over your right thigh. You can either grab the back of your right thigh or the top of your right shin, something like that. You can pop a block under your head also. So that's another option. We're going to be in this a little while. It's not a really, really long hold, but long enough. I often find pigeons are really helpful after a back bending pose, particularly. So it gives us that forward folding action of feeling a release, but it's not a really jarring forward fold. Sometimes for me, when I come out of a back bend, coming straight into a forward fold is actually doesn't feel so good. So fine pigeons are just a really nice kind of in between. and nice is probably not the right word because I'm not entirely sure I'd describe it as nice, but more of a functional way to come into a forward fold. And again, just feeling for where else you grip in this pose. You know, it's a typical kind of transferring of tension to the jaw, eyes, cheekbones. And then work towards that edge that is manageable for you and stay. Allow your back teeth to soften your jaw. Okay, my loves, 5 more breaths. So as always, there's nothing you need to do. It's just notice. Notice where there's space to let go. And notice where there's resistance to letting go. Okay. So slowly. Again, we've been here a little while. You may want to come onto your belly or onto your back. So just feeling again. It's the place where you can rest for a moment. And again, just uptaking the change. Alright. Coming on up. Just minimal movement to transition to second side. So again, just that reminder, like always, I say it all the time, is that remembering that our bodies are different from side to side. I've got some weird thing going on with my knee at the moment, so you know, this side looks pretty different for me. You know, it's that whole idea of being okay with not things not being perfect, you know. Remembering our bodies are not symmetrical. And then moving as far away from what these poses look like as we can manage. It's like really move into that place of feeling. And again, beauties, come into those last final few breaths. And just more so be curious about what is holding. Like, is there space for 1% of a let go? slowly. So easing on up. Take your time. No quick movements. Oh. And then come back to that neutral place, so either on your back or your belly. It's like your whole entire being uptake that change. I'm going to keep you guys down on your back. We're going to move into Banana Asana. So start over, moving to the right side of your mat. So you move your whole body over and then pop up onto your elbows. So actually take your legs over to the left and then shuffle your elbows around also. So creating a banana shape with your body so that it's like your right ribs are open and your left ribs are closed. So you can take your arms over your head or maybe holding opposite elbows. And the idea is we want to feel the pelvis as close to the floor as possible. So crossing your ankles may help that process, or just not having your legs crossed at all. And then you'll feel this somewhere from like the outer edge of your right knee up towards your right armpit. So there'll be an area that really stands out for you. And again, that's your personal area. There's no right or wrong. This is literally one of my favourite poses to do before bed. It's like real deep down regulation for all systems, particularly the nervous system. You might just need to shuffle into a banana, more banana-y shape as your body releases. beautiful ones. Come back in through centre. Just be slow again. Sometimes I find, particularly this pose, the rebound is deeper than the actual posture. Okay. Transition. So shifting over to your left. Same thing, maybe pop up onto your elbows, wiggle your feet across, wiggle your elbows, and then come down into your version. So this side might be a tighter side where crossing the ankles doesn't work. But again, we're going for that whole notion of what is manageable and that the pelvis stays relatively close to the earth. So sometimes this can be one of those like quieter poses, I guess. There's not as much intensity. But I find that, again, like it kind of comes in waves. There's like clumps of tension that come and go. Okay, my loves, so very, very slowly. Slow, slow, slow. And bring yourself back to center. This time move into Shavasana, final rest. So you can have your legs up the wall, that's one option. You spread out like a starfish, second option. And any other option that works for you. If you need longer, then stay. Otherwise, invite your breath in. Just a sense of moving your breath through your body. And then keeping your eyes closed, transition to one side. And your eyes remain closed, easing up to sitting. Bring your hands to rest, easy at your heart. And taking that energy now into the next phase of your day, whatever that may be. So we bow in reverence to each other.